Good morning. This weekend's challenge is to get back on the water with a little boat so we can get on and off the island and can get out to Renko and to the top hat to get that ready to sell. This is the impeller I took out of the Yamaha. I think that blade's broken, that one's broken, so well overdue. Got a new impeller and also somewhere have some new oil seals, because as we saw at the end of the last video, the oil here's got that sort of emulsified milkshake look to it. So the plan is to do some prop shaft oil seals if I can find a puller and we can get this out. Otherwise we might have to go the hack way again. I'll also try and pressure test it, see whether the drive shaft oil seal and gear selector oil seal are good. 99% of the time it's the prop shaft oil seals though, because they're the ones that pick up the fishing line, whereas these are protected inside the midsection. This actually came in the mail the other day, a bit randomly. It's the Ozwide starter. We used to use these guys at the workshop. They do a whole lot of aftermarket stuff, not a sponsor or anything. But these guys did a kit to convert to keystart. And that might be a fun project to do on here. So you get a flywheel with a ring gear, starter, starter bracket, regulator rectifier, pretty much everything. Oh yeah, they do a refund if you return the old flywheel too. So yeah, I might look into that. It'd be kind of cool, be an interesting video and kind of nice to convert this to keystart. Long story short, I think almost all of these are too big. This one's too short to reach past the prop shaft, and all the other ones are too big. Previously, I think I had smaller outboards, the 6, and bigger outboards. I've never actually owned an outboard this size before, so we might have to make something up. Alright, let's get some mud out from around these bolts so we can get them undone. When this sunk, it was sitting outboard into the mud, that's why it's so caked at the moment. Sometimes, yeah, you kind of get little tabs, given how small the outboard is. We can try that. Would love to heat around here a bit too, so I've still got to buy some gas. Alright, where's my screwdriver? I know this might look messy, but I actually run a pretty tight shipwreck. A very small gap is opening up, which gives me hope. What's going to happen first? Break the flange off or get it out? I've just remembered I do have a 240 volt heat gun. It's no oxy torch, but let's give it a try. It is amazing how hot these things do get. It's getting there, gap's opening up, and that last tap I did round there, I was at a funny angle, and it's actually rotated it, which means we've definitely broken the corrosion. I think as long as we're careful and don't break anything else, we're going to win, even without a puller. Score 1 for little outboards. Just going straight in, use the wedge of the screwdriver to pry it open. Staying as close to the base of the flange as possible where it's strongest. Hey, alright. A rare win. Well, that was pretty miraculous. Yeah, that's right. Make up my own words. Get bored with all the existing ones. Okay. Now, let's get these old oil seals out. Let's add buying a new seal puller to the list. Just punch them through. Just having a look here. Just trying to catch the edge of the seal like that. You can see here I've sort of been getting the edge. It's just been bending. I'm going to get this edge here and just pry it away from the wall of the bearing carrier. Loosen it up a little bit, I think. Even if you nick that, it's no trouble because you can just put sealant around there. It's not a moving part. It's only the prop shaft itself and the lip that you need to be careful with. Alright, that's one. Second one's spring side out too. You can see a little bit, still a bit of rubber there, but yeah, you can see the second one's also spring side out, so both spring side to the water. Alright, both out. I'm just going to clean up this corrosion with a little bit of sandpaper, wash any gunk I've got into the bearings from the bench, and put the new seals in. Okay, all looks pretty clean now. Alright, this is just a little bit of flange sealant. I'm not going to put much, tiny bit, just because, you know, I did run the screwdriver between the wall and the seal. Don't want any excess spreading out. Alright, let's get a socket and tap that down. And just to prove to you I have been cleaning up, I now have every socket back in its holder. Wonder what size we need. What we need is the one in between those two, typically. Actually, what have we got here? Don't think the tools from the press go big enough. Oh, not quite. Because the metal's only around the really outer edge, you do want it to be pretty much the exact right size. Let me keep looking. Alright, I'm going to sacrifice this whole saw to the cause. We're probably going to blunt the teeth doing it, but it's the only thing I can find that's the right size. Actually, it's taking very little pressure, so yeah, I don't think we're even going to hurt it, to be honest with you. Okay, one in, same with the second. Okay, they are in. Now, let's put it all back together. These O-rings on the bearing carrier aren't too bad, and I don't have anything similar. So, let's just put a little bit of grease on both of them. They'll actually seal a little bit better with that, and they'll come out a little bit easier next time. Alright, now we're just going to pop it in. This actually does have a top and a bottom too. You can see it when you look at it. A little bit of grease on the bolts too. I think my pressure tester for these gearboxes to check the seals is on Renko. Can't get to Renko until we get this in the water, so bit of a catch-22. Let's put it together. These little bottles you can actually squeeze into the gearbox. They got the tapered spout. I'm going to put it into the little pump anyway because I find that a bit easier. Okay, usual routine. Pump it till the oil comes out the top. Maybe let it settle a bit, pump again just to get bubbles out. Then we put the top plug in, holds a vacuum. We can get this undone, put the bottom one in. A few bubbles. Looks pretty good now. Let's lock it off. Okay, let's throw the new impeller on. I don't have a new base plate, but it actually looks pretty good. It feels like there's actually just some gunk rising up as opposed to being worn down. So let's clean that up. Put it back. No gaskets either, but that's okay because this housing is an O-ring, not a paper gasket, so I think we'll be fine. Pop it on. Can only go one way because little dowel pins. Woodruff key on that side, Woodruff key in here, and we'll get a bit of that grease again. I'm just going to clean some of the gunk off the shaft to make it easier to slide the impeller down. Just putting a little bit of grease on the Woodruff key to sort of hold it in. I tend to start by giving them a slight angle like that so that the impeller doesn't catch it and pull it out. And then it'll straighten itself up once it's in. Woodruff key is dead level with that fin. So if you keep a track of which fin the Woodruff key's aligned with, just makes it easy to get on. Alright, now the housing. Oh, I've lost it, can't finish, have to go to the pub. A little bit of grease in here just for the starter. Not much. Tiniest skim. Clockwise rotating motor, so just put a little bit of pressure down, rotate the drive shaft clockwise, which will bend the vanes of the impeller in, and then button it up. I'm going a little bit of grease on the bolts. You want it to seat pretty evenly, so don't just do one up really tight and then the others, just sort of work around a little bit like wheel nuts. Only 2 bits left now. Prop washer, prop nut. Washer, nut. You don't have to crank these tight. I'm just looking around when the nut's lined up with the hole so we can put the split pin in. That's really about it. With these split pins, I just put it through, fold the top one over, cut the bottom one flush. Okay, I think we're ready to take this down now. I'm going to put a little bit of grease in here, just so the pipe goes in a bit more easily. It only has to sort of catch on an edge and it can make life hard. Also a bit of grease on the splines, top of the drive shaft, because that gets stuck in the power head, in the bottom of the crankshaft. You're in a world of hurt. A day or two before this sank, I was saying in last video that it needed a bit of TLC. I've just remembered that one of the things it was doing was not going into reverse. And one of the suggestions is this rod can get bent. Looks pretty good to me. Obviously it kinks around here. I think that's meant to be because it's slightly offset, but feels like quite a good clunk in reverse too. So we'll have a look on the water, I think, but we may need to adjust this. There's quite a bit of thread here, so I can't imagine it being able to go much further out, but we'll have a look. Here I've used the Plan B tilt mechanism, and I think the issue is that we need to put this back so it knows that it isn't in reverse, and therefore it's okay to tip up. You can see here, so when I'm in forward it's right up, that's neutral, and there. Now it's in reverse, they're touching. Wind the collar on, nip the locking nut up a bit. Little bit fiddly, this part of outboards, if I'm honest. Alright, there's the new hull. We picked high tide to come and get it, but it's actually a little bit higher than I would have liked. It's a swimming spider. Come on mate, you've fallen in the water, haven't you? There you go. Now you're upside down. That's better. Oh, geez Louise. Alright. There you go, you stay there. Yeah, right. That doesn't look sketchy. Okay, well. Stopping the leak, see? Yeah, well that's kind of what worries me, is by the time I put the engine on, it's not going to get better, it's only going to get worse. That is probably almost out of the water at the moment, that bung. Yeah, well it's good. For now. We'll be right. After picking my hull up, we ducked over to Pete's Halverson to see if we could slow the link down a little bit.
Found Peter's hull. Got a little cockle or something on the inside of his hull. It's pretty special. So we might crack that off, get some Sikaflex and a screw and just try and slow it down. I reckon there's one. Oh no. Oh yeah, yeah. There's definitely one here. Looks like a wormhole. See, it's just like a...
It looks exactly like that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, take little matey outside.
Yeah, let's put it in the river.
So, oh yeah, look at that.
4.
Yeah, 3 or 4. That one's huge. The Sikaflex feels a little bit old. Ooh, God. That screw didn't even take any screwing. Alright, Pete's going to see if he can find a bigger screw, but that's not even you know, you want to at least get some bite into the timber. It's already better though. I'm going to add shipwright to my resume. We may have slowed this down. Clearly it has to be fixed properly, but I'd rather know my boat was like that than what it was just before.
Next we went back up the hill to grab my outboard and bring it down to the water.
We're all about the maintenance, aren't we, Pete?
Well, we had to deflate it a bit to make it safe.
That's it. We've decided to slow the cart down on the downhill by letting some air out of the tyre and hacking the tread up a bit.
We struggled, got the outboard down the hill, got it on the back of the boat.
I think it's actually got a little bit of a leak. That's more water than was in it before. It's been a while, don't get me wrong. So it's not a bad leak, but I think maybe it's up in this corner somewhere here, because it was wet up here. There's no way it would travel uphill. Not super worried, it's not going to sink overnight. Famous last words. But yeah, this corner was a bit crushed, and I think maybe here, don't know. Anyway, definitely got the problem with the reverse. I'll show you that in a bit. I think that's the next thing to fix, because that's a real issue. It genuinely just doesn't go at all into reverse, so that's a real problem. Anyway, let's go for a run. Following morning now, and no rain, so definitely does have a small leak in it, this hull.
Alright, I was just having a chat with Stevesy about it, and we've decided I'm just going to push on with the outboard for now. I really need to fix that reverse problem. The boat also needs better ropes, lights, bilge pump, all that kind of thing, but I'm waiting for some tinned wire to arrive, but definitely can get in with the gearbox today. After that, i.e. next video, I'll take you through Renko like stem to stern. We'll go through everything, A, to show you where it's at, B, for me to check where it's at, and C, just to get your opinion perhaps on some of the things that need doing and how I should go about it, particularly the leaking prop shaft. Anyway, in the meantime, let's go see if we can figure out what's going on with this gearbox.
What I'm going to do is I'll fire it up and I'll show you what it does briefly, because it really isn't going into gear, which is going to be damaging the dog clutch. I won't torch the dog clutch anymore. You can hear it just doesn't even go into reverse. So let's have a look at the selector first. When I had it apart last week, I'd forgotten I wasn't going to reverse, so I didn't look very closely at the dog clutches. But I also, you know, don't remember them looking really bad. I think I might have noticed, but I didn't look. A mate, Patrick, who Adrian does quite a bit of work with, has a Yamaha dealership, and he was on the phone and said that it's actually not uncommon for this linkage to get a little bit bent. Doesn't look too bad to me, but what I think I will do is take that little R-clip out, pull the the linkage out, lose that washer, and then see if I can push it into reverse without that linkage, see if it can actually go into reverse. I'm going to need 3 hands for this, so I'm going to put you down, but I think I've got a grip on that washer. So the question is, should that up here be perpendicular to that? So 90 degrees, bit of a kink, and then return, because that and that don't look parallel to me. Just gonna try and bend it by hand, I think. Not very scientific, but to my eye, that's closer to perpendicular again. I'm just gonna reinstall it and try again, see if it's any different. Fixed it.
I think the thing I most got out of the things we did in this video is that, you know, you should always just have a look. For example, Pete's leak, you know, you look at the water and he felt it was coming a bit lower, maybe he felt the water line was a bit lower, but you sort of look and stop and just look closely and think, no, it's actually coming from higher. Oh, it's actually coming from higher than that. Open the cupboard, there they are. You know, move some stuff out. Same with the linkage. Just have a look at it. Does it look right? The other thing I'll say when diagnosing mechanical things, and probably other things in life, is that the history is important. With this outboard, because it was mine, I knew that it was going in reverse. Then it started going into reverse intermittently. After that, it would only stay in reverse if I actually put pressure on the gear selector. Eventually, it wouldn't go into reverse at all. So when Patrick said about the rod bending, I thought, well, that explains the progressive failure as the effective length shortens, as it bends, and also as I'm sort of putting pressure on it, I'm the one bending it. All right, I'm going to continue with this little tinny to make it a better commuter boat. I'm a little bit torn. I don't think it's my forever hull, so I do need to put lights and everything on it, but down the track I would like to put something together a bit more like the Green Machine was. Almost regret selling it. Don't know who's got it. Don't think I even got paid for it. Long story. You know, I think it would be fun to do a nice boat. I don't want to overcapitalize this little tinny though, but does need lights, does need a bilge pump. I probably won't film much of that. I'll just get on with it, but next video we will go through Renko top to toe. All right, take care. Catch you soon. See ya.